Good morning, students. Last time we discussed in details the story of the midnight visitor written by Robert Arthur. We made a detailed discussion of this story, the events that took place, how it started, how it went into the middle, and then how the story ended. Today we shall discuss the textual questions. I hope that you have understood this story because I have made a very long discussion of the events of the story. Now just let us discuss the questions because in the examination you will have questions to write the answer. So you will have to understand the questions also, how just you will write the answers of the questions. So today we shall discuss the textual questions. I am writing the question here. First question is, Osebo did not fit any description of a secret agent Fowler ever read. What do secret agents in books and films look like in your opinion? You have read some stories and books, novels, and where you might have met some secret agents, some detectives, the spies, and there you have just seen that how their personalities are, how their characters, how their physical appearance. So firstly, anything that influences you about the secret agent is the personality of the secret agent, is the physical feature of the secret agent. Because of reading books and novels, the moment the secret agent character comes in our mind, we see that there is a tall, dark, handsome figure who appears to be very mysterious, with generally a cigar or cigarette just in his hand, and just a very different kind of look, looking very, very smart, very intelligent, very fast, just a lot of common sense, intelligence. All these are different features that we just we associate with secret agents. So Osebo, here is a character, Osebo, who is a secret agent, and when Fowler meets him first time, as I told you in the story, while describing the story, when Fowler actually had come to Osebo to have some plot of the story, to get some plot for his story. While spending some time with the secret agent, there might be something strange, something peculiar, and he will be able to get a plot for his story because he is a writer. But when he meets Osebo first time, he finds that he just feels very disappointed because Osebo did not fit in the description of secret agent according to Fowler. Because he is a writer, he has been reading books, he has been just projecting the secret agents in his stories. So he was disappointed. That he thought that maybe that he will be spending some time with this man, with the secret agent, but he will not be getting any plot for the story. Might be this is because Osebel's personality is not impressive as a detective should have. His personality, because he is a fat fellow, not well dressed, not well built, not a cigar in his hand, or not just the beautiful woman coming to him and passing messages to him and talking in some mysterious terms or mysterious words. Nothing happening like that. Simply a phone call comes. Even the room in which he lives is not so decorative. Not at he lives just on the 6th floor of the hotel. So the things around him things around Mr. Osebel do not impress Fowler. And that is why Fowler is not very happy, he's disappointed. Because for what the purpose for which he has come here with Osebel to spend some time and get some plot for his story is not going to be achieved as he thought. But what happened? Just when he went to the room and there the incident that took place, Max before reaching them in the room, Max has already is there pointing his gun towards them, and after that what happened you know very well. And that incident that happened in the room of the hotel finally at midnight, where the midnight visitor reaches there, that just impressed Mr. Fowler so much that all the just opinion that he had framed about Mr. Osebel just some time before is totally changed, and he finds a true genius before him in the form of with the name Osebel. So this is the answer of the first question. Let us take the second question of this story. Second important question in the story is, how does Osebel manage to make Max believe that there is a balcony attached to his room? Look back at his detailed description of it. What makes it a convincing story? This is a very important part of the story. This is a very important time. This is the crucial time exactly when Osebel and Fowler they enter the room and find another detective who is rival of Osebel just before him, just standing there pointing a gun towards them and demanding the report that is to come to Mr. Osebel, the very important document about the missiles. So it is a very bizarre situation, a very strange situation this is. And to deal with the situation is not an easy task. It just required a common sense, a presence of mind. That is just the character. That should be the characteristic of a genuine detective, and that true genius possible really shows his common sense that very particular, that very time. And he just, when he is facing Max with a just pistol in his hand, he does not lose his temper. He just is very he is not frightened. He takes it very easily because he is confident about him, about his common sense, about his intelligence, and he knows that he can deal this situation because the spies, the detectives, having just are there in the habit of doing such kind of things. So actually they generally do not become frightened facing such kind of situations. So Oswald makes a description of balcony, a virtual balcony, imaginary balcony. Actually that is not existing, a non-existent balcony. He just manufactures, fabricates a story. And he makes the story in such a detail, makes such a detailed description of the story of the virtual balcony that Max comes to believe it. Just he says that this is the second time that somebody has entered his room, though Max has come through the main gate with the help of the pass key. But he just says to Max that this is the second time somebody has entered his room through that balcony and through the window of his room. And he will just make a complaint against it to the management because this has happened second time. And he gives the description of the balcony, how the adjacent rooms are there and how this room is the part of a big block and some rooms behind, and the balcony is extending just under his window, and just anybody can take help of that balcony and can enter his room through the window. And one incident had already taken place earlier. So he gives in such a details just about the description of that virtual balcony. And saying that he will be just making such a complaint just against against management regarding this balcony. He had already asked them to block this balcony so that there should be no intruder just coming to his room. But they have not actually done actually that what he had demanded. So he will be just making complaint again. So in this way he makes Max believe in the existence of that balcony. Max is convinced, and just he believes that there is really a balcony there. And when the matter of the police comes, somebody is just knocking at the door, and he says, Oswald says that actually policemen are there. I had asked them to come here because I needed some kind of protection for that important documents. And Max is frightened. He now is facing, he thinks that he is facing the police. Police can enter any time because they are knocking at the door. So he runs from there and jumps out of the window to death on the virtual balcony that is not existing there. And in this way, Oswald outsmarts that his rival named Max and becomes a true. And that this incident really impresses father, and all his opinion about Oswald after just seeing his personality, his physical appearance is completely changed, and he's very impressed, and he's very happy to find a plot for his story. This is the answer of the same question. Let us take the third question. Next question is, looking back at the story, when do you think Oswald thought of his plan for getting rid of Max? Do you think he had worked out his plan in detail right from the beginning? Or did he make up a plan taking advantage of events as they happened? So, just understanding the sequence of this story or the events just taking place, we can say that Oswald had not planned it earlier. It was not that he had just made all the plans how he will just enter and what will be the situation. He had not actually thought about that earlier. He did according to the situation. He took the advantage of the situation that was just before his eye. When he made the situation, then at that particular moment, he just made the plan. Because you cannot make a plan for the situation, you do not know what kind of situation you are going to face. So, common sense is applied, intelligence is applied when all of a sudden a situation occurs, unexpected situation, unwanted situation that comes before you. And that very time it is required that how you make the application of your intelligence, of your wisdom. And Oswald did the same thing. He had not known that such thing is going to happen. Max will be present there and I will be just making a story in this way, in this form, and will be frightening Max here because he did not know. So when he entered the room and when he saw Max just standing there with the pistol in his hand, that time he understood immediately the situation. He observed everything very minutely, just within the seconds, and just made a plot in his mind to outsmart Max. And he succeeded. Sometimes you may not succeed. Even just to make a plan, just apply your common sense, it is not 100% guaranteed that you will be successful. But if you just make a plan with complete sense of your intelligence, there is maximum chance that you will be successful. And if you do not become panic, actually panic is also very important. If you are panicked, then you cannot deal with the situation. Here in this story we see that while taking a step, Mr. Oswald, the detective, is not in panic. He does not panic. He very calmly and quietly goes and sits on the sofa and then starts fabricating his story. He just understood the situation, that how, because he had already asked the waiter to come with the wine bottle. So after some time the waiter will be there on the gate and then he will just make a story about the virtual balcony. So all these things all of a sudden he just used his mind, used his intelligence and made the story. And then succeeded in his plan. That he had, actually it was not earlier made plan, just of the time. Just at the spot of the time, he just plotted it and executed it and succeeded. This is the answer of this story, this question. question is that in this story Osable shows great presence of mind or the ability to think quickly and act calmly and wisely. Give examples from your own experience or narrate a story which shows someone's presence of mind. Here is an example of the detective Osable, that how just brilliantly used his presence of mind to defeat Max. Just his just ability to think quickly and act wisely and calmly, just we saw these qualities in Osable. In your life also, if you have any experience of just making or applying such presence of mind in just at the time of any such strange situation, then you can write about that. You will have to write in that form. There might be just a situation where you had gone to withdraw some money from the bank, and there all of a sudden when you were just at the cash counter, all of a sudden some just boys just muffling their heads, they entered and with the pistols in their hands, and they took over just the manager and all the other staff. And in that situation, you were not very much frightened, and how just calmly and how wisely you acted that time. Just you simply just came out and just went to some hidden place, and there you just informed the police, and then police came, and then all the just the robbers, the criminals were just arrested, and the bank robbery was not actually done. The bank actually money of the bank was saved. So any such situation, or even in the examination when just you were in the examination hall and the question that you got was a very difficult question, for some time you became very nervous because you were not very much acquainted with the questions, because the way the questions were asked, actually the question in that way the teacher had not taught you. So in that very situation, how you handled it, how you handle the situation, how you again just make yourself calm and quiet for some time, and you read the questions again and again, you try to understand the question, and then you begin just somewhat more confident, the confidence level just increased, and you got some understanding of the question, and then you started writing, things started coming to your mind, the answers started coming to your mind, and you completed your examination very nicely, and even just you got good marks in the examination in that paper. So in a strange situation, or any time that a fire took place in your house or in your kitchen, or just you met any strange situation, so how did you deal with this? Or someone, just you might have heard someone narrating his story, that someone in your neighborhood or your friend or your relative, so you can write his story also. Just when someone was narrating the story of some strange event, so you can write that also just of your own experience or the experience of somebody who is very close to you or near just to you, and you have just listened to him just explaining the story. You can write that story also. So seeing the Osable's character here in this story, you can learn two things here. One is that you cannot just give judgment about any person just seeing his physical appearance, because how Fowler just thought about Osable, and how he had to change his thought later after just seeing that incident. So you cannot, on the basis of physical appearance, you cannot make a judgment about any person. So you will have to be very, very sincere, and just very quietly you will have to think about the person only to come to the judgment. And next is that in a strange situation, in a very risky and dangerous situation, frightening situation, you should not panic. Because if you just panic, then there is a chance that you will lose. So keep your calmness, your quietness just intact, and you just think about it, the situation, how to face it, how to deal with it, and just make some quick action just with the thought, and then there is a maximum chance that you will be successful. So one should not be panicked is one lesson, and one should not make judgment about any person just on the basis of his physical appearance. These two things just that we learn from this story, The Midnight Priest. Okay, thank you very much.